Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rene and today I'm going to be talking about why I homeschool my own children when I am a certified public school teacher. So before I get into my personal reasons about why I homeschool my own children, I want to give just a little bit of information about my background, my husband's background, and kind of how our family came to homeschooling. And kind of the reason is because this wasn't necessarily in the cards for us. And so I think it's important to kind of talk about how we got here. So for me personally, I was actually homeschooled the majority of my childhood. So I was homeschooled up until 8th grade, with the exception of 5th grade. I did go to public school for that 1 year because my family had just moved to a new state. It's just the way it worked out. And then after 8th grade, I actually went into a public high school. And I had a good experience in both cases. I had a positive experience homeschooling. I had a positive experience going into public high school. Neither situation were completely perfect, but both overall were very positive. After high school, I went on to public university. I got my college degree. And then a few years after that, I went and became a certified public school teacher. And I've actually been teaching in public school the last 5 years. So that's kind of my experience. I had both experience in the homeschool realm as well as the public school realm, which kind of gives me a unique perspective as a parent. For my husband, he was homeschooled for like kindergarten. I think it was kindergarten and first grade, or maybe just kindergarten. I can't remember. Basically, he was just homeschooled to skip a grade. So he was kind of homeschooled for like that one like year or two. And then after that, he went into private school, and he was actually in private school throughout his whole childhood. So we kind of have an interesting mix between the two of us because we both have experience homeschooling. I had experience in public school, he had experience in private school. So we kind of ran the gamut between the two of us. He did go on to university after private school as well. And so that's just kind of our personal like school experiences. But when it came to our own children's education, at the time when my eldest was about to be going into pre-K, there was kind of this thought of like, oh, what are we gonna do? My husband didn't necessarily feel like his private school education was like any better than public, and neither one of us really felt there was any need to like try to like break the bank to afford a private education. I'm sure there are some really great private schools, but around our area, I felt like they were very similar to just the public school education with maybe some additional drawbacks for our family. So that wasn't really a route we ever really considered. So private school was kind of not really high on our list of something to think about. But when it came to the idea of homeschooling, it just seemed like an impossibility for our family, to be honest. We are not a one-income family. I work full-time and my husband works full-time, and running the numbers, there was just no way we could make it on one income. And I think that's true for a lot of people these days. So the idea of being able to homeschool just really did not feel like it was something that could even be in the cards for us. And so because of that, we kind of just were like, well, I guess our kids will go to public school and maybe it'll be fine. Obviously, again, as I said, I was working as a public school teacher. So I kind of knew that there were some issues going on there, but I kind of in my brain was hoping like, well, surely like pre-K and kindergarten, like at least like those first few years, we shouldn't have any major issues, right? I mean, it's pre-K, it's kindergarten, what could possibly happen, right? So that's kind of was my thinking into it. So we did go ahead and put my eldest into the public pre-K program. And he was there for 1 year. That was last year. And it was not a positive experience. There was a lot of stuff going on that year that kind of drew us to homeschooling. I'm not going to get into like all of the nitty-gritty details because I don't want this video to be like bashing public school. Obviously, there's lots of people who have positive experiences in public school. Lots of families don't have any other choice. But basically, it was not working out for our family. And by the end of that year, it had become so clear to me that I literally was at the point of, I told my husband, I was like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but there's no way we're going to let this continue. And so I actually quit my job as a public school teacher with nothing else lined up. And I just knew, I was like, we're going to find a way for me to work in homeschool. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And I'm sure some of you might be like, what about your YouTube channel? Well, for those of you who've been following my YouTube channel, this is a very small channel. I don't currently make any money off of it. It's just a hobby. It's just for fun. So this is not my job. I don't make anything off this at all. So that was not even a thought. Nor did I have any expectation that I was going to replace my income with YouTube either. Like I didn't think that was a thing that was going to happen. And it hasn't been a thing that has happened. So I really didn't know what I was going to do, but I was looking at all kinds of like remote jobs and work from home jobs, and I wasn't sure how I was going to juggle it all. I like joined a bunch of like different groups about like working and homeschooling and trying to figure it out because I knew it was something that we just had to make happen. And then at the same time, my husband got laid off from his job, and so it was a really stressful time for us because we kind of had just a lot of changes and everything. But fast forward, I did find a work from home job that allowed me to homeschool. So I'm doing that. My husband got an even better job than he had before. And it all worked out, but it was definitely some crazy times there. Sorry if you guys are hearing truck noises out there. It's trash day over here, and so they are picking up the trash. So I apologize if you hear that for the next few minutes. All right, so that's kind of how we came into homeschooling. So again, it was not something that was just like a given for us, but it's just kind of life circumstances kind of led us here. So I'm going to talk about now my reasons why I really wanted to homeschool my kids, because there were some serious things that I felt like were not being met in the public school education, and I really wanted for my children and my family. So I have 5 different reasons here that I'm going to mention. I haven't written on a list, so if you see me looking down, I just want to make sure I don't forget anything. So the first one, and this is definitely, I would say, the most important and biggest one, was family connectedness. I think it's no secret that when you're homeschooling, you're spending a lot more time together as a family, and that's really what I wanted. I have, again, a lot of positive experiences from my own childhood of being with my siblings and being with my parents and doing all these fun experiences together and learning together and reading together, and I really wanted that for my children. My mama heart was really hurting last year. When you're working full-time and your kids are going to public school full-time, maybe not everybody feels this way, but for me, I felt like I never saw my children. Like, we got up early, we dropped them off at the school line, I went to work, worked all day, probably had a staff meeting after, picked my kids up. By the time I picked up, my eldest and then picked up my youngest, and we got home, it was already like 6 o'clock, and then I had to make dinner and, pack the lunches for the next day and do homework if they had it and all this stuff. And then they go to bed, and it's like, well, I guess I'll see you guys on the weekend. And that's really how it felt. I really felt that my children were being raised by someone else, that I wasn't seeing them, that I just saw them on the weekends. I mean, it almost felt like, I don't even know. Like, I felt like I almost was just like a nanny to them or something. Like, I didn't feel like I was raising them. And that was something that I was really struggling with both of my children. So that's one big reason why I really wanted to homeschool, is because I wanted to see my kids. I wanted to be the one spending the days with them and raising them and loving on them. So family connectedness was a big reason. And I do think homeschooling does lend itself to fostering really good sibling relationships as well, which is something that's also important to me. So definitely that family connectedness, number one reason why we love homeschooling, want to homeschool, and will continue homeschooling. The next one is really just I want my children to have a childhood. I feel like nowadays things are so busy. Like, you don't see kids playing in the street anymore. You don't see kids riding their bikes, reading for fun, playing with their toys for hours and hours, and all of that stuff. Research shows is so good for kids. Like, kids need downtime to play. Kids need unrestricted outside time. And you see kids and they're at public school all day, and then they come home and they're on their tablets and their TV, and I don't know. I didn't want that to be my kids. I wanted my kids to have a childhood that I feel like I had, playtime, nature time, reading time, all that good stuff. And so I really wanted them to have a joy-filled childhood that lent itself to, good child development. That's actually what I have my degree in child development. So it's just something that I'm very passionate about, and it's something I really wanted for them. So that's another big thing. It's just for my kids to have a joy-filled childhood and have time to be a kid. The next one I have is honestly to have a good education. Again, I don't want this to be something that's bashing public education, but I don't think it's any secret that public schools could be doing better. And from a child development perspective, especially in the younger years, I could see that, the emphasis was not on what was best for children. It was much more about, what was easiest for managing that many kids, what was best for, testing and test prep, what the state was pushing out, what the standards were saying. It wasn't about the kids, and I want my kids' education to be about them. And education is not a one size fits all. Some kids learn to read at 3 and some kids learn to read at 7, and that should be okay. And the public school system just really does not lend itself to that. And it's not really their fault. It's hard to cater to that many children. But it's just something I saw. And even starting in pre-K where my son was, I could just see, they were expecting all the kids to be at, A level. And, if your kid was above that, well, too bad, we have to hold them back. If kids below that, well, sorry, we've already moved on. And I could just see that starting already in pre-K. And I was a middle school teacher, and I saw in the effects of that in the middle school level, and I wanted better for my kids. So now they can have an education that is tailored to them. I can meet their needs where they're at. I can help them out extra if they need extra help. I can let them move forward if they need to move forward. I don't think you can beat a good personalized education. And so that's one thing I really wanted for them. And in addition to that, I also could really see my son's spark of life and learning really going out that year that he was in the public school pre-K. He was coming home saying that he, hated school, and, that certain things were just so hard, and, he just hated this and that. And I felt for him because some of the things he was being asked to do were just really not developmentally appropriate. And, I felt for him. I wouldn't want to sit at a desk for that long and do that either. Especially as a 4-year-old boy. So I don't know. I really just wanted him to continue to be able to have that love for learning. I wanted him to be able to have an education that fit his needs. And I want that for all of my children. So that's just a big thing for me that I wanted. The next one, and this might seem kind of weird to those of you who are not super familiar with either school system, but I wanted my kids to have an authentic friendships and authentic community. I feel like people think because kids are at school all day with other kids that they're having all of these friendships and these moments. And there might be some of that going on, but I can tell you the majority of the time, it's not. Kids are told to be quiet, sit at their desk, go to lunch, y'all are being too loud, don't talk so much. Go to recess, it's 30 minutes of the whole day. It's just, everything is so structured and, do this, do that. The kids don't have time to just sit and talk with their friends or socialize or, play games with their friends. It's all just very rigid, very, by a structure, we're doing this is our lesson for today, sit in the corner, do that, go over here and do this. Kids just don't have as much social time as you would think at public school. And kids don't really have the opportunity to pick their own friends either, right? Usually the teacher tells you where to sit, what classes you're going to be taking, all those kinds of things. So I feel like homeschooling, my kids have the opportunity to make really deep friendships, and they have time to build those friendships. We can go to events and park days and things, and they can spend hours playing and talking and, all those stuff. So I really wanted that for my kids. I didn't think they were going to get that just in the school system. And not only are they making good friendships, but we're really building community, because that's one really great thing about homeschooling is that you are around not just kids in your same grade and same age, but kids of all ages and parents of all ages. And you really get to build a true community and, play with different sibling groups, play with different people, see the same people week after week, help each other out, share, the joys and lows of life. I really wanted that, both for myself and for my kids, to be honest. And then the last one I have on here is character building. And this really goes back to what I was saying before, how I felt that somebody else was raising my children. And I know people usually associate character building with religion, but that's not really what I mean at all. I really just mean I want to raise good human beings. I want to raise kids who are kind and who, know right from wrong and all of that good stuff. And I feel like, when your kids are spending 8 hours a day with somebody else, they're kind of deciding what their character is going to be. And I wanted to make sure that my kids had other influences besides just that. So, when they're home with me, I can read them good stories and we can talk about the lessons in those stories. We can choose which kinds of friends and families we hang around. I can be there for all those tough conversations and things that come up and just just all of that. So I just think, with my kids home, I have so much more control over how they're being raised, what they're being exposed to. And I'm not saying I want to shelter my kids by any means. Like, they're going to grow up in the real world. I don't want to keep them from all of the things that are there. But this way, I'm able to help them through it. I'm able to teach them through it. I'm able to give them the tools to deal with life. And so those are really my main reasons, that family connectedness, the joyful childhood, the good education and that love for learning, having authentic friendships and community, and being able to actually be the one who's raising them and building up, their good character and giving them those tools for life. So those are the reasons why we homeschool, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and definitely stay tuned for more. I'm going to be coming out with some more curriculum videos and things talking about exactly how we homeschool. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.